Hi folks, welcome to the Memphis Zoo's virtual wild encounter. My name is Bella and I am here with one of our chickens, Bertha. You might notice that I have my face mask on right now and some gloves. That is because we are doing our part to make sure that we are stopping the spread of anything that's happening right now in the world, any coronavirus, and any other stuff that's going around. It is still flu season. So we're just making sure that we're extra safe and healthy. Our moderator, Whitney, is about 10 feet away from me, and she's also wearing her mask. So I'm going to take mine off so that I can talk to you guys about Bertha here. Bertha Belle is a Cochin Chicken. So she is a breed of chicken that is a little bit bigger than some other species, and she has these feathers all down her legs. So those feathers are not really for anything other than to look pretty. You might see her feet look a little dirty right now. It has been raining, but she still likes to be outside. So she has been stomping around in the mud. She also takes some sand baths. So these guys, instead of really using water to bathe, they like to use sand. It's kind of like dry shampoo, and it helps to dry up any oil that might be in their feathers there. Chickens in general are one of the most popular pets in the world. It's actually thought that instead of starting as a meat species, they were actually our pets first. So we've been sharing our lives with chickens for about 8,000 to 10,000 years. And they actually came from the red jungle fowl that's found in Asia. And Cochins are a breed from Asia as well. They came over here between 1840 and 1850 and have become the chickens that we see today. Bertha here is a female chicken. We know that because the comb on the top of her head is a little bit smaller, and the same thing with her wattle underneath her beak there. She does live with two other chickens, and she is actually in her egg laying season right now, so I brought an egg that she has today, if I can get it in the camera. She laid this egg actually right before we took her out here for this special encounter. You can tell that it's her egg because it is actually the same color as her ears. You can't really see her ears right now, but she does have ears on the side of her head, and this is the same color as the skin of her ears. And that's actually how you can tell which chicken laid which egg if you have multiple kinds of chickens. So she lays an egg pretty much every day right now. She'll do it for pretty much the whole season. Chickens can lay anywhere from 120 eggs to 500 eggs in a year. But Bertha mostly lays them in the summer and spring. That's when the natural kind of cycle is. Cochins in general are used for their really good ability to raise eggs. So they are very good at sitting on a nest. They have actually been used to raise turkey eggs as well. So they are awesome at sitting on a nest. They've got all of these feathers that keep the nest extra warm and cozy. So she does not have any babies right now. She is not looking to have any babies. She is a working lady and she would prefer to keep working. So none of her eggs are fertile either. They're just like the ones that you would get at the store. And so they could actually be eaten if you wanted to.
All right, you ready for some questions?
Yeah.
Well, first we just have a whole lot of hellos from all over. Hannah from Houston, Mary from Arkansas. We've got Melissa from Denver and Simone from Tipton, just to name a few.
Hi guys, welcome. Thanks for joining us.
And we got our first question here from Denise. What is she eating?
Oh, that's an awesome question. So chickens are actually omnivores, which means that they eat both meat and veggies. So her favorite thing in the world, Bertha loves bugs. So I've got some mealworms, some waxworms, and some crickets for her today. We like to give them good stuff so that they want to come out and see people more. It's always their choice whether they want to come out and participate in anything. So we try to make sure that it's really worth it for them to come out and see everyone.
We do have a 6-year-old Paisley who just wants to give you a shout out and say hello.
Hi Paisley, how you doing?
Hopefully staying, not getting too bored inside.
Yeah.
And of course we want to say hi to 3-year-old Zoya.
Hi Zoya.
Just so many friends.
Yes.
All right, Brian from Mississippi, age 6, would like to know, how heavy is she?
So she doesn't weigh too much. She weighs about 6 pounds, I would say, at the most. But most birds in general don't weigh a whole lot because they need to be able to fly. Chickens aren't the best flyers necessarily, particularly Cochins. They can fly up a little bit to get onto a tree branch and away from danger, but in general they come from the red jungle fowl of Asia, which are more of a bush bird. They like to stay on the ground. So she's a little bit heavier than a bird that could fly.
Okay. And we've got Stormy Knight on Twitter. How old is she?
Bertha is a 1.5 years old, so she will turn 2 on September 21st.
And we've got Austin, who wants to know why you cannot see her ears.
So that's a really good question. Chickens don't have outer ears like us. We have this big outer ear that's actually called the pinnae, and instead they just have a feather that covers a hole that leads into their ear. So they use a feather to protect their ear instead of some skin.
Huh, that's very interesting. So many friends here. We've got hello from the Czech Republic.
Oh, wow.
Everyone just wants to say hello, hello, hellos.
Well, Bertha says hello too.
We got a message here from Alana, my little girl. I'm going to try to pronounce this. Saponix, age 1, is saying, hi, Guck. Hi, Guck. She thinks it's a duck.
Aw, she does have some of the same colors as a domestic duck, that white color, but she is full chicken.
Here's one we were actually talking about earlier before we even started. Lorraine would like to know, why does the chicken have messy feet and a behind?
Oh, yeah. So she Cochins in general have all those feathers down their legs. Most chickens do not. It is for show and to be kind of fancy. So she has been playing in the mud. She likes to be outside, even when there's rain. So she has been getting some of her feathers a little bit messy, but she will eventually groom all of that out. She's also, as we were talking about, she's laying eggs right now. So sometimes she gets a little bit messier on her behind as well.
Our friends on Twitter have Lyra, age 8, would like to know why they're called Cochin.
Lyra, that's an awesome question. So Cochins come from the Cochin area of China. So that's what they're named after.
I'm not laughing at the China's laughing that she gave us a nice big shot of her booty.
Yes.
Go back to that table camera there, get a
There
better
we
shot of her. All right. We've got Amarali and Nora say hi from Vancouver, Canada.
Oh, hi, Canada.
So many friends today internationally, too. That's so cool.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Melissa would like to know, I would love a pet chicken for eggs. What do you need? What do they need most?
So they need a lot of things. Chickens can make really great pets, but they do need a lot of space. They need outdoor and indoor space away from all of the elements, and then also to be able to go out into the sun. They also need the right diet. So we feed them greens as well as scratch grains and some chicken crumble, and then they get these bugs as a special treat, but it's also an important part of their diet. And then they just need to have enough space to get away from other chickens. Chickens, actually, the phrase pecking order comes from them. So they literally have a pecking order. From the time that they're about 8 weeks old, there is a distinct pecking order. So if they can't get away from other chickens, they might get injured or hurt.
Oh, goodness. Now, where's our girl Bertha on that pecking order here at the zoo?
So she lives with 2 other chickens. And they all are actually pretty gentle with each other, but she is on the bottom. So she gets the least amount of goodies if we throw them into the enclosure, but we always make sure that she gets some extra from us.
Well, that's good to hear.
Yes.
Kind of like mom and dad just stepping in there.
Yes.
Well, Anna, I'd like to know, will chickens lay eggs regardless of a rooster's presence?
That's a really great question. So actually, yes, chickens are obligate egg layers, so they're going to lay an egg no matter what's going on with the sex ratio around them. That happens with all sorts of chickens. They'll lay as much as they want to, even if there's not a male around.
Just so many friends just want to say hello today. We got another hi from Eden, Adeline, and May, and they want to let us know they have 5 chickens at home.
Awesome. Chicken crew.
Austin, we've already asked this question. How much does she weigh? Okay, here we go. Cosette, age 9, wants to know how long can they live?
That's a great question. So chickens can live different lengths based on what breed they are, just like dogs. So smaller dogs usually live longer lives, and that's the same for chickens. So smaller chicken breeds like Yokohamas usually live to be about 15 versus Cochins, who can live to be about 10 years old at the most.
Well, Finn, age 6, must be thinking about lunch because he wants to know if you're going to eat her eggs.
Aw, we could. They're super healthy and safe, but we just prefer not to here. But you definitely can if you have chickens at home.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
How long is the egg laying season?
So that's a good question because it does depend on the type of chicken that you have and also where you live. So a lot of chickens will lay throughout the spring and summer, and other chickens will only lay for a few months. It just really depends on the breed of chicken that you have. Cochins in general are pretty good layers, and they're going to lay for about half the year.
6-year-old Claire is asking, does she have a tongue?
Hi, Claire. She does have a tongue. It's pretty far into her mouth. She doesn't use it as much for grabbing these bugs, but she definitely does have a tongue, and she can taste all of the food and bugs that she is eating right now.
You can just barely see it when she pecks in front of this camera.
Bird tongues are rather elusive, but they do have them.
So many friends just want to say hi. Oliver and Nolan say hi from Kentucky.
Hi, Kentucky.
9-year-old Lily Grace wants to know, how many worms will she eat in a day?
So Bertha here would probably eat as many worms as we could give her, but we feed them about a handful of worms, just to make sure that they're still eating all of their other stuff that they should be eating. They do need all different kinds of foods to stay healthy, just like us.
Okay, Amber would like to know, how big do Cochins typically get?
So Bertha here is a full-grown Cochin, so she's a pretty big bird. Cochins in general are a pretty big breed. There are some smaller breeds like Bantams and Yokohamas that are about half her size.
Oh, and we've got a family here. Again, Bella does so many fans today. Abby, Millie, and Colton say hi, ladies. We really appreciate y'all taking the time to show and tell us about the awesome animals at the zoo. Bertha is beautiful.
Oh, thank you so much. We really appreciate everyone who tunes in to see all of our animals. They miss seeing all of the guests and visitors that we have every day, so it's great when we can show them to you guys this way.
We really had some fun stories here talking about someone has over 100 chickens at their house.
Oh, wow. Chicken master.
And one for says, I had a pet chicken as a child who would ride on my head.
My goodness.
Is that pretty common for chickens, you think, to ride on people's heads?
You know, if it's a stable enough perch, then they might just do it. Bertha here never gets quite high enough to get onto our heads, but I'm sure some of her roommates would.
All right, and NJ like to know, does she live indoors or go out?
So she lives kind of outside, but she's fully protected from any rain. So she has the choice to go into a nesting box whenever she wants to and stay safe and warm. But she can also go and play in the rain a little bit if she wants to.
So we're going to go back to why her feathers look the way they look. We've got Owen age 10 who very eloquently put it. Why does her bottom look like a nest?
Yeah, so she is a little bit of a messy lady. She has some extra feathers due to her breed. So she sometimes gets them a little messy when it's rainy. She is also nesting right now, technically. She wanted to stretch out there and show you how pretty the rest of her feathers are. But she is nesting, so sometimes that can look a little bit messier.
Well, this is a fun one. We got a usual here on YouTube. Pokey wants to know, how do they keep themselves clean?
Oh, I like that question. So chickens and all birds in general actually have a special oil gland. So sometimes our hair gets oily, and these guys actually have a special gland that they can use when they are preening their chickens, or preening their feathers. So they have a little gland that's near their tail, and they are able to produce oil from it and then brush it throughout their feathers to keep them nice and soft and shiny and in working condition.
And Ms. Conwell, we do see your response here about the camera slightly cutting off. Just so everyone knows at home, these are fixed cameras, so the animal moves where the animal moves. We do our best, and Bella definitely tries her best to get her in a great position, but ultimately the animals do run the show.
Yes, they do. They have all their own personalities. She's giving us a stretch right there. Bertha is allowed to do pretty much whatever she wants. We don't make her do anything she doesn't want to, so she is thinking about jumping off this table right now, which I will encourage her not to do.
All the chickens that come in here have kind of made that kind of thought there, thinking, could I jump down this table?
Like, maybe this is a good idea, and sometimes we say it's not a good idea to jump off of a table.
Yeah, maybe not roam around this office. Too many cords. We've got 5-year-old Kaden and 9-year-old Kayla from Kentucky. Would like to ask how tall she is.
So that's a great question. She is probably about a foot tall. So some chickens can get to be about 2 to 3 feet tall, which is really big. But she's only about a foot tall.
I like how she kind of keeps coming looking at the camera and then walking around there.
She's checking everything out.
Hi from Ada 9 and Molly 6 in Buffalo, New York. Ada wants to know, or wants to have a farm someday full of chickens.
Oh, I like that dream. That's a great dream to have. Chickens are pretty cool animals.
Any good advice for Ada and her dream of owning a farm of chickens?
Just do your research and learn as much as you can about chickens so that you can take great care of them and have as many chickens as your heart desires.
So we're getting a lot of questions again about how long will she live, how old is she? Let's try that introduction just one more time.
Yeah, so we've got Bertha Belle here. She is a Cochin Chicken. She's deciding right now to not be on camera, but she is about 1.5 years old, and she can live to be about 10 years old. Chickens will live different lengths depending on which breed they are. So Bertha here is a Cochin, so she lives to be about 10 years old. And she is full grown at this point, even at 1.5 years old. Her birthday is September 21st, so she will be 2 coming up this year. Yeah.
That's so exciting. Let's try that second camera on the table again, see how it's looking. And we did have someone, I do apologize, I didn't catch the name. These comments load so quickly, but someone wanted to know a little bit about the mohawk on Bertha's head.
Oh, that's an awesome question. So chickens all have that comb on top of their head, and that comb acts as not only something that's pretty to the lady chickens, but also to help them regulate their temperature. So just like a fennec fox has big ears, those ears have a lot of blood vessels in them, and they're able to release heat that way. She is also able to release heat through her comb, so she can stay nice and cool even though she's covered in feathers.
Wow. And speaking of feathers, Rose 7 and Liam 4 want to know if their skin color determines their feather color.
That's a great question. So we were talking about how their eggs are determined by their skin color or the color of their ears, but their feathers actually are not related to their skin color at all. They can have all sorts of feather colors, and their skin will be a different color underneath. So she has pretty pink skin underneath, but she has white feathers.
That's so interesting. Avonlea, age 11, wants to know if she's colorblind.
She is not colorblind. Most birds in general actually have really good color sight. Sight is what most birds use the most when they're hunting or looking for food or trying to look for predators. So she can actually see all the colors that we can see and possibly more. There are a lot of studies being done to see if all birds can see in the ultraviolet light. So she might see more colors than even we can imagine.
Now, for our kiddos at home, can you explain what ultraviolet lights are?
So it's a special light spectrum that we can't see as humans, but it's brighter kind of neon colors sometimes, and it comes from the sun.
Okay, thank you so much. We have Memphis Zoo top fan Joey, and he'd like to know, I've heard chickens love styrofoam. If so, why?
Oh, that's a good question, Joey. We've never given them styrofoam just because it might not be safe if they did ingest it, but I can imagine that they would love to pick at it. Chickens really just like to peck and pick at all sorts of things. A lot of the enrichment that we give them here is just pecking at things.
And here's the real question for those listening at home that own chickens. Would it be safe for them to peck at that styrofoam?
So I wouldn't recommend it. I'm not a vet, but I would not recommend styrofoam just because if they did ingest it, it wouldn't be great for them. Styrofoam is kind of a plastic thing, so it's not something that we should be eating.
What would you recommend for our friends at home to let their chickens peck at? That would be really fun and safe.
Yeah, so you can actually do seed starters. A lot of places have been doing that. You can get all sorts of different organic greens for them to eat, and they can actually pick those right out of the ground. And you can see right now she's actually preening herself. She's getting all of her feather dust out. So they also like to have baths of sand around. If you give them different baths all around in different places to clean their feathers with. They also do like to eat and try new things. So new fruits, new vegetables, all sorts of things.
Well, you heard it straight here. Our chicken fans, always check with your vet first, but you've got some fun new things to do with yours at home. So Gallimimus does want to know on YouTube, do their talons continue to grow as they age, or do they stay the same size once fully matured?
Ooh, I like that question. Their talons will actually continue to grow just like our fingernails will. So just like all wild animals, as they're walking around, they rub those down. So we've never really had to trim them here, but just like your dog might need a nail trim, sometimes a chicken might need a nail trim. And that's actually the same with their beak too. Their beak has some keratin, which is the same thing that your hair and your fingernails are made of. So that beak actually will continue to grow, but as they're eating and using it to peck at different things, they'll wear it down so that it still works.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that. Mandy'd like to know, at what age do they stop laying eggs?
Okay, so it depends on the chicken. Some chickens will continue to lay throughout their entire lives, but usually once they're about 5 years old, they start to slow down in the amount of eggs that they produce. So if you are getting chickens for egg laying, it's a really good idea to make sure that you space out the chickens that you get and maybe get a couple every 6 months so that you still continuously have chickens that lay eggs.
Okay. And we got some regulars here, Bella, Caitlin, and Ian, who tune in almost every day. And their mom, Amy, is a top Memphis Zoo fan. Thank you so much. They want to know, can Bertha fly?
That's a great question, Caitlin and Ian. So Bertha is not going to be very good at flying. She's a little bit of a heavy bird, and that's just because she is bred as a domestic species. But they also do come from the red jungle fowl, which is a ground-dwelling bird in Asia. So they're really not made to fly. Some species of chicken can fly, like Yokohamas, but Cochins in general aren't very good at flying. She can get up about, I would say about 4 feet, and that's about as high as she's going to go.
That's her jumping kind of thing? Like
yeah, it's kind of a jump, and then she can get a little bit of air with those wings, but her wings compared to her body size are a little bit small.
Can you see an impression of what that might look like?
Yeah, it would be more like this. Like this instead of like a hawk that's spreading out, going like this.
I like that. Well, questions are just pouring in, guys. We are getting to our last 10-minute segment here, but we're going to try to get as many as we can. Lucy, age 8, wants to know, how many eggs do you think they'll lay a month?
In a month, they could probably lay about 30 eggs. 30 to 34 probably is going to be the amount that they would lay.
Oh, and Owen, age 10, who's also a regular on our show, Miss Bella. Hey, well, that's perfect timing, Bertha, because he actually wants to know, what are those little sounds you're making?
Yeah, that's a great question, Owen. So she makes a lot of little grumbly noises, and that's just kind of how she communicates. They are a flock species, so they like to be around other chickens. But Bertha was raised around people a lot, so she's also comfortable with us. So as I'm talking, she thinks I'm communicating with her, and she's communicating right back. So she makes a lot of little noises. If you tuned in earlier last week, you might have seen our rooster, and he does crow a lot. But the females do not crow, so she just makes her little grumbly noises. It's kind of just like that. It's kind of just say, I'm here and you're here, and we can still see each other and we're safe.
Well, that's good to hear. I'm glad she's feeling safe up there.
Yeah.
So Lucy, age 8, this is kind of a tricky question, I know, but let's see give it a shot. Do chicken years work the same as dog years? I guess they're talking about the aging process.
Yeah. No, that's a really great comparison. It's a little bit different, but they do age faster than we do in terms of their lifespan. So they're going to live about 10 years versus humans who are going to live maybe 100 years. So it's about 8 to 10 would be the range instead of 7, which is dog years.
Well, here's a question straight for you, Miss Bella. Javon on Twitter wants to know a little bit more about your qualifications here and your program here at the zoo. So maybe you want to talk a little bit about what you went to college for and how you got where you are.
Awesome. Yeah, so I went to college actually for zookeeping. I got a degree in zookeeping technology from Peck Community College. Yeah, I did a lot of volunteering, a lot of internships, and then I got my first paid position, and I just continued to work and volunteer while I was getting paid. And then I got my dream job here at the Memphis Zoo as an interpreter. So my favorite thing to do besides talk to chickens is to talk to people about chickens and about other animals, and about how we can help them and their wild counterparts. So that's why I was super excited to get this role here at the Memphis Zoo, where I get to talk to everyone I'm talking to right now and show all of you Bertha and how wonderful she is.
And I do think it's worth mentioning just a little bit more about what is an interpreter compared to a zookeeper. And we throw that word out there a lot, but I'm not sure if everyone understands exactly what you do compared to a regular zookeeper here.
Yeah, so interpreters are a type of zookeeper. So we take care of all of our animals, we make sure they're happy and healthy, but we also have the added job of going out and talking to the public a lot. So we talk to you guys, we talk to you about animals, about their conservation, and how you can help them. We basically, we take the emotional aspects of animals and the factual aspects of animals and combine them so that we can help people to understand why animals are important and why we want to keep them around and why zoos are important as well.
Well, guys, we are slowly running out of time. We're going to try to, like I said, answer all those questions, and if we don't, we'll try to get to them a little bit later. We have a friend here on Twitter, Miss Bella, who, would you not me, wants to know, what should you not feed chickens?
So there are a lot of things that you shouldn't feed chickens. One thing would be apple seeds. Apple seeds do contain a little bit of cyanide, and so too much of that would be harmful to them. The best thing to do, though, is to check in with your vet to see what you should and shouldn't feed your chickens.
All right, so many friends. Bertha, you just have so many friends on here. Ada, age 9, says, you are cute.
She is one of my favorite chickens. I won't say she's my favorite in case the others are listening, but I think she's adorable. I think she's got the greatest little feathery pants. When she runs, she's pretty cute.
All right, and we've got another question here from Kelson, age 8. What is the purpose of the red skin around her eyes?
Hi, Kelson. So that red skin is part of her comb that sits right there and her wattle that sits underneath. It's all just a little bit less feathered and a little bit brighter. So not only does it make her look pretty, but it also helps her regulate her temperature. So when she doesn't have feathers there, she can release heat. Otherwise, like underneath her wing is really warm, and she's showing you right now underneath her wing. But because chickens lay on eggs, they need to be super warm and well insulated, and that skin just allows her to get rid of some heat if she's feeling a little hot.
That sounds wonderful. And Bella, we have another fun question for you. They want to know, Lucy, age 8, do you like working with chickens? Oh, I'm sorry, that's Presley, age 6.
Oh, Presley, well, I do really enjoy working with chickens. I've worked with chickens at a couple different places now, and they're always one of the highlights of my day. It's something that Nikki talked about, that it's kind of weird that, we work with so many awesome and exotic species, but chickens really do become one of your favorites. They all have their own little personalities, and they're all special in their own way. So they're a lot of fun to work with. They're also super smart. So they can learn to play tic-tac-toe. They can do all sorts of things. They know the difference between me and another keeper, so they can tell the difference between us, and they definitely have favorites of their own as well. So there's a lot of interesting things to do when you're working with chickens. But I want to thank you all so much for tuning in to our virtual wild encounter. Miss Bertha Belle wants to thank you as well. She was super happy to come out and see you guys. And we just want to remind you all to stay safe. If you're interested in helping out the Memphis Zoo, you can check out our website, and we do have a relief fund on there. But Bertha is just about ready to fly away, so I'll see you guys next time. Thanks so much for tuning in.